2 Good Turns. Neddy was the little donkey belonging to Mr. Johns. Sam was the little boy who lived at the greengrocer's shop and helped his father to weigh the potatoes and set out the cabbages and apples in neat rows. Neddy passed by the shop each day, and Sam was always ready for him with a bit of carrot or half an apple.
"You spoil that donkey of Mr. John's," grumbled his father. "He's a lazy, stubborn thing. Sometimes he stands still in the middle of the street and won't budge an inch."
"Mr. Johns isn't kind to him," said Sam. "He shouts at him and beats him. If I were a donkey, I'd stand still in the middle of the road sometimes if my master was unkind to me."
"Oh, you would you?" said his father. "Well, you'd beat me even harder if I were your master. Donkeys like that don't deserve kind words and pats. Now you go and get on with your work. Fold up those sacks and stack them neatly in the corner."
Neddy came up the hill by the shop the next day, and Sam flew out to give him an apple. But Mr. Johns wouldn't let the donkey stop for it.
"He's been stubborn again," he shouted angrily. "Backed into a gate and broke off a bit back of the car. He's not to have any treats. Come on there, you bad fellow."
Sam was sad. Neddy was sad too, because he did like an apple, and more than that, he liked the loving words Sam spoke to him and the feel of Sam's hands on his neck. If only he had a master like that boy, he'd never be stubborn again. The winter came. The weather grew colder and colder. Snow came, and it froze. More snow came, and that froze too, till the roads were as slippery as ice. Cars could no longer go up the hill by Sam's shop. But the little grey donkey still came, sliding and slipping, pulling the heavy cart up the hill. "It's a shame," thought Sam, watching. "Poor little thing, it's terribly hard not to slip just here where this hill is so steep. Neddy will break his legs one day." The next day, the donkey stopped outside the shop. Mr. Johns lashed him with the whip.
"Go on with you! What's the matter? You laziest animal there ever was!"
Neddy started off again, but his feet slipped all the time. Sam watched him, terrified he'd fall and break a leg. Mr. Johns whipped him again. Sam darted into the shop. He went to where the pile of sacks was, in a corner. He rushed out with them. He went to the donkey and flung a sack under his feet. Then he put another in front of him, and a third one higher up. He made a whole pathway of sacks, and the little donkey found firm footing on them and pulled the cart safely up the steepest bit. He looked around gratefully at Sam. "Nice boy, kind boy," his big donkey eyes said.
"He could have got up without all of that," shouted Mr. Johns grumpily. "Always making a fuss of Neddy. I tell you, he's a lazy, stupid beast, and I'd be glad to get rid of him."
The next day, the frost was harder than ever. Sam was waiting with the sacks, and he made the same path for Neddy as the day before. The little donkey didn't slip at all. He was very pleased. It was Wednesday, and a half holiday for Sam. What should he do? "I think I'll go down to the pond, Dad," he said. "Not the one all the boys go to, because that's so crowded, and I do want a good slide. I'll go to Bolter's Pond, and that won't be crowded at all." He went to Bolter's Pond, and there were only 2 boys on it trying it. "It's quite hard," they yelled to Sam. "Come and give it a try." The boys soon left, and Sam thought he'd have a really good long slide. Soon he had a real beauty and enjoyed himself immensely. And then there suddenly came a loud crack, and the ice split right across as Sam was sliding. He couldn't stop himself and slid straight into the crack where the water was showing black below. In he went and gasped with the icy cold. He caught hold of the freezing edges of the ice and shouted loudly, "Help! Help! Save me!" But there was nobody near to hear, nobody at all. The boys had gone home. Bolter's Pond was in a lonely spot. "Help! Help! Oh, save me!" cried poor Sam. Somebody heard him then. Somebody had been put into his shed a good distance away from the pond for the night. It was Neddy. He pricked up his long donkey ears when he heard the faraway voice calling. Why, that sounded like Sam's voice. What was the matter with him? The donkey stood and listened. He felt uneasy. Why was Sam calling? Neddy knew how to undo his door, and he undid it now, jerking the catch up with his nose. He pushed the door and it opened. He galloped over the frosty hillside towards Sam's voice. He was puzzled when he came to the pond. Sam's voice came from the middle of it, but he could only see Sam's head and shoulders. Why didn't the boy come to him as usual? "Neddy! Oh, Neddy!" called Sam in a weak voice. "I can't hold on much longer. Save me, Neddy." But Neddy didn't dare tread on the ice. He gave a frightened little bray and galloped away to the greengrocer's shop he knew so well. Where was Sam's father? He must come, he must come. Sam's father was amazed to see Neddy walk right into his shop, and even more astonished when the donkey firmly caught hold of his sleeve and pulled him towards the door.
"Look, dear," he cried to his wife, "the donkey's mad. He's trying to take me somewhere." "Then go, go," cried his wife, suddenly feeling that something must be wrong. "Go where he takes you."
And Sam's father went with Neddy down the hill, across the field to Bolter's Pond, and when he got there, he heard Sam's faint voice. "Help, help me."
"Goodness me, it's Sam, gone through the ice," cried his father,
and ran for a ladder. He brought one back quickly, laid it flat on the ice, and pushed it towards Sam. The boy caught hold of the last rung and dragged himself feebly out of the icy cold water. His father pulled the ladder to the bank and carried the boy home, the donkey following closely. Sam caught a terrible cold and was in bed for 2 weeks. And every day, when Mr. Johns passed by, he let the donkey look in at the bedroom window to see how Sam was getting on. Neddy was a hero now. He had his picture in all the papers. Brave donkey saves his little friend. And do you know what Sam's father's going to do? It's a secret, so don't tell Sam yet if you should happen to know him. His father is going to buy Neddy and give him to Sam for his birthday. Wouldn't Sam be pleased with that? 2 such friends ought to be together, his father said. And I think he's right. Don't you?